Oil and gas exports are this province's bread and butter. If the former U.S. president reclaims the White House, he's promised an across-the-board 10% tariff on Canadian imports. It's something that could send a shockwave through the Canadian economy and Alberta's.
So we estimate in this report that the most heavily affected sector would be energy.
The Economist releasing a report he did for the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, warning that Donald Trump's proposed protectionist policies could shrink the Canadian economy by 1%, the equivalent of $30 billion annually. And Alberta would take the biggest hit.
Most of the oil that we produce in Alberta, by a very wide margin, goes to the United States. So a 10% tariff on that oil shipped to the U.S., well, there would be implications for producers here.
Reduced earnings for producers and reduced royalties for the Alberta government, at least $4 billion a year, according to TUM. And if Canada retaliates and imposes its own 10% tariff on U.S. goods, Canadian consumers could face higher prices too.
And that would, amplify the affordability challenges we currently have, with prices having risen so much already in recent years. And a lot of what Canadian consumers buys does come from the U.S.
TUM cautions the Democrats' Kamala Harris is also promoting policies that could negatively impact the Canadian economy. A former U.S. ambassador to Canada was asked which party would be better for Canada.
The Trump potential presidency is the greatest threat to the Canada-U.S. relationship. I personally believe that in almost every one of his policy proposals, without being hyperbolic, just being straightforward with everyone, with all of his policy proposals that he's laid out, almost every one of them will impact Canada, and almost every one will impact Canada quite negatively.
Just 4 years ago.
It's one more reason Canadians will be closely watching the U.S. election next month. Brian Labby, CBC News, Calgary.